Here we go. We're ready to start another stocking. I am going to be turning out stockings as fast as possible for the next few months because I have quite a few orders lined up and ready to go. And this is the next one. It's called Night Before Christmas, and I love this stocking. It is so cute. It does have 166 pieces. So this I would not recommend as your first stocking attempt. This is going to be a little bit more challenging. So what I have done so far is I've gotten all of my floss I've sorted onto my floss sorter. It is ready to be used. I have all of my sequins sorted into my sequin box, ready to be used. And I have all of my pieces and things ready to go. So let's go to... This is interesting that they've done the directions for this stocking all on one page. The picture is just the picture for reference, so we don't have to try to be turning that over to find out what is what. So again, like in every pattern, if this is your first or second stocking, I highly recommend that you go over these general instructions up here. Read those fully. And I will be making this stocking slightly different than how it is intended, and that is because my customer has requested that. So I will let you know when I'm working on those different changes. So it does say here, note, there are two sets of hair for the girl and the boy, yellow and copper canyon. You can decide which color to use and how you want to use them. And so I've consulted with my client, and they would like it to be done one brown and one blonde. So I'm going to do it just like it is in the picture. So let's begin. It says embroider and sequin. Note there are several colors of sequins used on the front of the stocking. So it doesn't say, but you do need to cut the stocking out. So let's start with cutting out piece number 1. Let's see. Here is all of the felt. I believe the back is the white one. Yep. And so I believe the front is green. And that just happens to be my favorite color. So I just love working on this stocking. Okay. We're going to begin by, and the first thing I'm going to do is, you can see here, this is piece number 1. And the first thing I'm going to do is cut away these green pieces right here and these green pieces right here. And I'm going to put them on my stack of felt for pieces for the stocking, so that I don't accidentally, cut out the stocking and throw away these extra pieces. There we go. Now, we are going to begin by cutting out this stock. Oh, look at that. I missed some. There's 2 more right there. Am I missing any others? No. Wow, that would not be good. All right, so we are going to start by cutting our stocking front out. And if this is your first video with me, I will show you. I cut just inside that white line in this case, just barely on the inside. And this is my scissors that I use only for my felt kits. I can feel that they do need a sharpening, so I need to check in to when I can get in and get them sharpened again. But it's they are kept really nice and sharp. I am going to set aside some of my, oops, now see, I just caught that right here. I can see that there's a little bit of the white line, so I want to trim that away right as I see it. But we're going to continue cutting just on the inside of the white line all the way around till I have this whole piece cut out. And this is probably the most challenging cut. So just take your time, try to be very smooth with your cutting so that you don't leave any jagged lines. And I can tell you that if you hold it so that you have some tension on both the outside of where you're cutting and the inside, it does seem to make the cutting, at least for me, go a lot smoother. So I will come back to you when I have this all cut out. All right, we have the front of the stocking cut out, and the directions say embroider and sequin the front of the stocking. And it has taken me probably, at least 5 to 10 minutes to find any embroidery on the front of the stocking. The only thing I can come up with is this right here. And it is going to be the loop for a little stocking that's hanging on this chimney. And so when I look that up, it has this dashed kind of, it's a lazy daisy stitch, and it's the dashed one. So it's going to be one strand of black, and then it just has this straight thin black, one strand of thin black straight stitch right here. Straight stitch, it's a thin black one. Okay, so we're going to do a lazy daisy with a single black thread, and then a black just straight stitch. So I'm going to get an embroidery needle here, and we'll get it threaded up with a single strand of black. And I hope I haven't missed any other place where there's embroidery on the stocking, but if I did, we can always pick it up when we see it. Now you'll get used to seeing this. This is called thread magic. It helps to condition your thread and your floss, and it really is just clear wax inside of a little tub here that you can use to pull your floss through. It's called Thread Magic. I highly recommend it. It does help to keep your floss from tangling. It doesn't mean your floss won't tangle. It will, because that is just the nature of embroidery floss. But it does help so that when it does tangle, it's a little easier to get out, and it does glide a little more smoothly through. there is step number 1 completed. We have embroidered the little tack for the stocking that will hang right here, and we've got the sequins all over the stocking, up here there with all the sugar plums and things like that, and here they're just scattered throughout the stocking just to give it some color and some beautiful shine. Now, number 2 is the headboard right here, this piece, and that is brown. It is right here, and it simply gets cut out, and then it gets quite a few sequins, and then it gets applied to the stocking, appliqued. So there's no stuffing or anything unusual with that. So we'll just go ahead and cut this away from the other pieces. We haven't done a lot of cutting yet on this kit, but remember that when you cut, like the number 2 is right here. So you need to be sure when you cut this away from the others that you take this number 2, but not any other numbers with it, because that will cause a lot of problems later on when you're coming in here trying to find a piece and the number has gone with another piece by accident. So I cut all my pieces out like that, away from the others, and then do the same cutting that we did for the stocking, just on the inside of the white paint line there, and try to make it as smooth as you possibly can. And if you should end up with a little white, just trim it away. So we'll go ahead and finish cutting this piece, and then I will apply the sequins. The sequins are brown sequins with the clear bead that will be applied. And again, I apply my sequins so that they are dished up like a cup, not down. I think that gives them more sparkle and shine, which I personally like. I believe that's the way sequins are normally applied, but if you would like to do them the other way, go for it. It is your project. I did them wrong for the first few stockings I made, not knowing. So it's certainly not going to ruin your project. Now, I have had a viewer comment that they iron out all their pieces before they start working on them. And this piece does have kind of a significant fold right there. So I'm going to see, but I believe that once I get it appliqued to the stocking, it will not be an issue. But if you would like to have all your pieces nice and flat and perfect, you certainly can iron them with a low heat iron, making sure that you use a press cloth on top so that you don't accidentally disturb any of the markings. That would make the rest of your project very, very difficult. But I have found that occasionally I will iron the large main piece, but honestly I don't even do that. If I iron anything, I iron the back, the stocking back, and that sometimes I do. So I will be back to show you that we apply this and where and exactly how it's going to go onto the stocking, and stitch it down. So we'll be back. All right, we are ready to do our first applique on this piece, onto the stocking, I should say. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to thread up an embroidery needle, and we are going to tie a knot in just the single strand. It's threaded with a single strand, but we are not bringing both ends together. We're using only a single strand. And then that's one nice thing about felt and working with felt is that it sticks to itself. So it's kind of nice. You can put this piece down and kind of just, it will stick to where you put it. But what we're looking at here, and let me set that aside. What we want to do is to line up all the lines that are on our piece. So this piece is going to have this piece number 4 go over top. So we want this line right here to line right up with what's underneath. So I want to go ahead and pin that here. So that will stay in place. And the same thing over here. And we've got this line here down at the bottom. So I think I need the piece down a bit. Yep, I do. So the piece should be at this baseline here. That's where we want it to be. And we want this line to line up with this line that's underneath. So we'll pin it right there. And we see that this line is lined up here, so we can pin this right there. We're right in the center, and again, okay, and this line is continuous up here, lines right up, so that's perfect. Now you just want to be sure that you're covering the indication lines that are below. So I've pulled this down so that this is under here, but you can see there are going to be pieces that go on top, and this we want to be sure covers this white line, which it does. So I'm going to go ahead and put a pin right there and put a pin right there. Okay, now an applique stitch is very, very simple. We're going to pick any side that you like to start on. I like going around counterclockwise for some reason. I don't know why, I just always have. So I'm going to start here at the corner, and I'm going to come up from the bottom and pull it tight, and then I'm going to come, I'll move that pin so you can see, and I'm going to go down right straight across from it, straight across, and then come back up, and I say 1/4 of an inch. I like to keep my stitches close together, and pretty neat. So I'm always going to go in straight across from where it was and up about 1/4 of an inch away. And you can see this makes a nice even stitch. You'll get used to just kind of how big you want to make your stitches as you get going and as you do a lot of it, because this stocking will have many many pieces attached, because it is the stocking that has, I believe, 159 or 160 pieces appliqued to it. So you'll be doing a lot of applique stitching. I'm going to go ahead and put this pin back in down here so that it doesn't shift at all. And then we're going to just keep going all the way around, just like this. And I take my pins out as I don't need them because they do catch on your thread. The sequins will also catch on your thread, but there's not much you can do about it. You might as well just start getting used to it right now. However, when you've got a piece to embroider, when it calls for embroidery and then sequins, you always want to do it in that order because it will help you to not have your embroidery thread catch on sequins quite as much. So that's a recommendation that I adhere to. And now I come to the corner. I'm going to put one stitch to one side and then take the next stitch going up here. And it's kind of nice when you've got sequins there, you can just place your stitches kind of underneath the sequins, and then your stitches really don't show. So you want your stitches to be about 1/4 of an inch apart and about 1/4 of an inch deep into the felt. If you don't get your stitches deep enough into the felt, you can have the felt pull away because felt does not have any, it's not woven, it's just pressed fibers. So it is much easier for it to pull through. So we're going to keep going around like this, and then I'll be back to show you what's next. Don't do that. No. Okay. We did the sequin and applique the headboard to the stocking. Number 2. Right there. Finnegan is here to inspect what we've got going on and to shift my camera with his tail. There we go. So that's where we're at right here. So it says that next we are going to sequin and applique the posts 3 and 5. So just sequins and applique posts 3 and 5 right here. So let's find those and see if we can get those, get some idea of what they look like. Here they are. Here's 5. I guess it says 4, but this is 3. Let me see. Posts 3 and 5. Let's look at the diagram and see if they call them 3 and 5. Yeah, 3 and 5. And the sequins that we're going to use are the brown sequins, just like on the headboard. So it is just going to be a simple cut out of these. Add the sequins right there and stitch them down here onto the stocking. So not too much here. I'm going to cut them both out, I think. At least cut them both away from the other pieces right now. I'm being very careful not to cut into a piece that I'm not using, and to make sure that I have the numbers with the pieces there. And we'll get those cut out and stitched. These pieces were cut and sequined, and now it's time to lay them on where they belong. And what I'm doing here is, these are like the lines for the pillow, so I'm lining those up, making sure that those match, and then that they cover all of the white indication lines here. It feels to me like they're up too high, but I do want to line up that line with the piece that's going to be the pillow. So I guess that is correct then. And this one also here and here, and this one lining up, and then this being in line there. Oops. Yep. And then they are just going to get the applique stitch with a single strand of brown. Now, here we can talk a little bit about when you are stitching on top of another piece. If that piece has been fastened to the stocking face, then you do not need to stitch all the way through to the underside. You can simply, so when I get right along here and I'm stitching on top of the other brown piece, I will only go through fasten it to the brown piece. I won't go all the way through to the back, but here we will go all the way to the back. And so we will just do the regular applique stitch. All the way around. This doesn't get any stuffing or anything. So it's just stitching it down to the face of the stocking. And I'm going to go through and knot off and get myself another piece of thread.